What's going on, guys? Welcome to Budget Bill Garage. Today we're going to be upgrading the disc brakes on... Nope, we're going to be upgrading 2 disc brakes on the Mustang.
Why 2? Like either side? I feel like disc brakes is
No, we're upgrading 2 of the disc brakes. We didn't have
disc
like
brakes on number 2, not like TWO.
We're upgrading... There's no other way to...
Like we said earlier, we are working on brakes today. And in case you haven't noticed these boxes that have been sitting here for like the last 5 episodes, we are switching to Wilwood disc brakes. The reason we went with Wilwood, 1, they're awesome. 2, they're local. And 3, Mustangs are kind of different than like your Dodge or your General Motors. General Motors and Dodge, they have a bunch of single piston brakes that came off later model cars that somebody went ahead and retrofitted. They're everywhere. They came off of everything. You saw me put a kit on the El Camino. They're pretty inexpensive, and honestly, they work really well. Mustang, however, didn't have a lot of those. They do have a kit, came on some like the bigger, like the Mercury Cougar XR7. They came on like the high-end stuff. They were pretty good. There was nothing wrong with them, but they didn't make them in those huge numbers, so they're kind of hard to get. So when you start shopping for brakes, you'll notice there's a ton of 4-piston setups, 6-piston setups, kind of really nice stuff. There's no super cheap entry-level kit. So, since we had to go high performance anyways, we went with Wilwood, because seriously, they're like 20 minutes from us. I've used them before, and I like them. They're awesome. I'll show you what we got. You can get some disc brakes off of some of the old stuff, like the Granada and everything. There's not that many of them around. Either way, this thing right here, this is just a bunch of brake line. We're going to use some of it. We're not going to have to use a lot of it. Kind of had it lying around. It was like 4 times as big when I bought it. I use it on everything. What you get in this kit, this is a true bolt-on kit. Early Ford, like Mustangs, they have 2 spindles. You can get either a 4-bolt spindle or a 3-bolt spindle. This kit works with both spindles, so whichever one you have, this kit will work. I'll put a link down below which kit this is, so you'll see that. It'll probably be in the comments or something. But either way, show you what we got. This is the actual bracket. Kind of what does everything for you. This is what you're going to bolt to the spindle. Like I said, you can see it'll work for the 3 or the 4 bolt spindle because it has so many different offsets. Seems pretty awesome. Next up, some of the odds and ends. We got the braided steel flex lines, a bunch of other fittings you're going to need. That's awesome. Like I was saying before, it comes with 2 different sets. So this is for the 4-hole spindle. This is for the 3-hole spindle. Like I said, this kit works for either. After that, it comes with all the bearings you're going to need. You know, 1 for each, so double. It comes with both of these and the actual seal. And now, the awesome bit. This is the vented and slotted rotor it comes with. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty big. This is a 1-piece, so you don't have to build it on a... It's a 1-piece rotor. I'll show you the other ones later when we start installing stuff like that. And, oh yeah, one last thing. The actual caliper itself, which is pretty awesome. This I want to talk a little bit about. This is different than the one we did on the El Camino. The El Camino had a slide pin. This guy is fixed, completely fixed. So it's going to bolt on. We're going to shim it, make it perfectly straight, and it's going to stay at all times. It's not going to slide back and forth at all. The pistons are going to come in and out and do all the work for you. So it's important to try and line these up, but honestly, it's super easy. This is not something to worry about. This goes on really easily and really awesome. Plus it says Wilwood and it looks cool. That's really it. I think we should just start prepping to put this stuff on. First thing I like to do while my hands are still clean before I start working, the bearings. The bearings need to stay clean. Taylor did a video on how to pack these, so I'm just going to do it really quick right in front of you. We got our awesome rotor here. When they ship these, and I've said this before, but when they ship these, they coat them with oil so they don't rust. You want to get it all off before you let the brake pad touch the surface. So you can use brake cleaner, you can use like Dawn dish soap, soapy water, just kind of get it all off after. I'm just doing a once over right now so I can put it on. So I'm going to put the bearings in right now. I just want it clean-ish. So that'll work for now. awesome gooey bearing. Goes right in here. See it? See how it tapers? That goes into this taper. It's kind of obvious, but it's good to let someone know that. So it's sitting there. This is your seal. You can see there's a ridge. We're going to pound it in until the ridge bottoms out. Can that one see this?
Yep.
Right. You can use a flat plate. You can use a hammer tapping around in circles. It can be a bit of a pain if you do it that way. If you want to make it even, just make it even and don't go too hard on this. Like I just did. Perfect. That's awesome. But yeah, I knew that would work. Do it enough times, you're good. Perfect. So yeah, you can see right here. Might go zoom in where it meets. Alright, that's that one. And then we'll set this aside and move to the car. Alright, also, actually before we move to the car, let's set this up as well. Yeah, so they come in two different ones. Figure out which ones you need. I know I need this one, so this is the one we're going to use. And while I have it out of this car, I'm going to hit it with some Teflon tape right here. So these two are going to come together like that. As far as Teflon tape goes, or any sort of sealer, I mean, it's really your discretion if you want to use it. I've had good results with, good results without, but I have it here, so I'm going to put it on. We are going to start with this fitting here for the actual brake lines. The only reason I'm starting on this is because once you add everything, it's just going to be a little bit harder to get to. I'm using the original brake lines because they're in really good shape, but check your fittings. Make sure they're not rounded, make sure they're not messed up, make sure everything looks good before you decide if you're going to replace it all or keep it. Luckily, we're going to get to keep it. I did use this box wrench to loosen it up. They come all the way around. It's just less likely you're going to strip them. A lot of those are brass or copper or anything like that. They're really easy to round and strip, and then you're going to have a bad day. You don't want to lose the whole line because you tried to put a wrench on the regular fitting. So all we're going to do is slide this one through here. And make sure this thing threads in. It should thread in real smoothly. If it doesn't, you know, then just kind of give it a wiggle like that. Perfect. Now, I'm not using any thread sealer on these because that fitting's been there for a while. I know it doesn't leak. It didn't leak before. It shouldn't leak now. So, I mean, again, that's kind of up to you if you want to try that. I'm not too worried about it. Holding this thing, we're using an 11/16, and then, like I said, 7/16. Alright, once you got it tight, you got this cool retainer clip. There's a groove in it, you can see. I just pop that guy in once you get it straight. A little bit of a tap, and there you go. Everything's retained. Everything is awesome. It's in there. Now we can kind of move on. Like I said, I just wanted to do that because it just gets a little bit harder to get to it once you put everything on. Now we're back to the spindle. Next up is the bracket. You've got the 4-bolt spindle. This is your 4th bolt. Actually, this technically is your 4th bolt. On this side, that's the difference. The side your steering arm goes through is going to have the elongated bolt. So that's kind of your important one. You got a washer on both sides, and then obviously the nut. This is a 12-point. I don't know if you've ever seen that. So if you got a 12-point socket, or usually the back end of your wrench will do it. Put this guy with the ears facing in. Alright, so once you get those in, you're actually going to torque these to 30 foot-pounds. If you have the 3-bolt spindle, you're going to torque them to 40 foot-pounds. So that's really the only difference. Alright, so we got the...
Cut.
Alright, so we got the caliper bracket mounted in place. We have it torqued down to 30 foot-pounds. Everything's looking awesome. Now we have this guy here. I've already popped in the seal, I've already popped in the bearing. Now all we're going to do is slide this thing on. You can kind of feel it go on, so it's obvious it's on. Next up, just let it hang there. It'll be fun.
Tumble down.
Yeah, it falls, breaks in half somehow. I wouldn't do that. Alright, so next up is this guy, the other bearing, the outer bearing. Slide this thing in. Slide the whole thing back on. And insert. Nope. Washer. Washer.
Washer.
I was like, this seems weird. Yeah, so put your washer on. You can see it's got a key. There's a keyway in your spindle. Put that guy on. Then the nut. Les nut. It's like Taylor was saying. Taylor's half French, so.
Not half, but.
Not at all.
Maybe like an 8.
I did it in high school.
I know lait. And baguette.
And fromage, that's cheese.
Oh, okay.
I know that one.
There you go. Neat.
Only because of Dexter's Laboratory, though. If you clean the spindle properly, which we did, this thing will go on really smooth and easy like this. I just did it because my hands are greasy. I almost hit that camera with that wrench. You see that?
Yeah. Would have made for an interesting video.
I know, because my wife's camera, she'd be pissed. Okay, so now we're, let's set this guy. So, you're going to spin this, right? Spin it. And as you tighten, wait till you feel a bit of resistance. I'm nowhere near it. Right there. So, a little bit of drag. What you're going to do is back it off. Do it again. I like to do it a couple times with brand new ones, just to get them to sit. Cool, that's where I like it. So yeah, you don't need much at all. You just don't want it to come back and forth at all. You don't want to feel any play, but you don't want to tighten this down too much because you will burn up those bearings. If you're worried about it, do it like 3 more times. You'll start to feel what you're looking for. Let me see if I can back it. See that? That's what I wanted to do. I want to back it up so I can show you. See how that's going in and out? You don't want that. You're just trying to tighten it enough that that comes out. So that's good. There's no real drag on it. I'm going to back it up just a bit more. There. That's perfect. That's where I like it. This guy's a little bit different. Most of these are castle nuts. This is a little different. You can put this on. It really helps because you can clock it any which way you want. That way you know right here. That cotter pin will go in and through, which I left back up on that table. Right here. This is the right one. Cotter pin goes in. That's not the proper tool to do it with. Thank you. You're not trying to mangle these, you just want them out of the way of the cap when you put the cap on. Alright, so putting one of these on is like 50-50. Sometimes it works amazing, sometimes it doesn't. Watch me swing this hammer with my left hand. It's not going to work. Oh yeah, use a rubber mallet. I can't do it with my left.
It's also on cooking.
Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be. There we go. Clean off the grease thing. Should have done that from the beginning, but I'm stubborn. I mean, it's funny. Alright, rotor's on. I'm actually going to give it a bit more of a cleaning now. So I'm about to put the caliper on. And when I set the caliper's distance, I actually like to put the brake pads in. It's just so much easier to tell whether or not you're dead center. Putting on the caliper now. You have 2 caliper bolts. Obviously, there's 2 of them. Top and bottom. And we have a set of shims. Directions say to start with 3 shims. Usually 2 is the magic number on this one. I swear I've done it. It's like 2. But also, don't be weirded out if one on the one side takes 3 and this one takes 2 or vice versa. It's like, it's okay. So, nut goes in like that, just so you see it before I do it. Shims go on this side, between the caliper and the mounting surface. Usually it's easier to put them on one side, top or bottom, and then kind of swing it up and put the other one in. Otherwise that happens. I'm dropping all kinds of stuff today. What's going on, man? We should have ate breakfast. Alright, this thing's installed. Make it somewhat tight. You don't need to torque it down because you might need to undo it. Let's see if I can spin this around so you can see the distance between them for a second. I'm going to put these in. Well, I'm going to try to. Okay, and then I want to pinch them together as much as I can so it's touching. And then I'm going to steal some feeler gauges and then stick them in between. Yeah, see how that will fit right here? And it won't fit right here?
No.
Okay, see? How these will not fit in?
Mm-hmm.
But on this side they fit in.
Mm-hmm.
So we're uneven. Like I said, it's easier to do it with these things on. The problem is how much are you uneven? Are you uneven a washer's worth, you know? And I personally think we are. So, like I said, two. I'm going to take one out. And we'll see where we're at. Alright, so we're going to pull the caliper off. Take out one of the, I keep wanting to call them washers, but technically they're like shims and spacers. They're washers, let's be honest. So yeah, we're going to take one out, and then we're going to re-bolt it up, and I'm going to recheck it. If you don't have a set of feeler gauges like these, I mean, you can buy some from pretty much anywhere. They're super cheap, but if you don't, use what you got. I mean, use a business card, use a washer, use whatever you got, and make sure the distance is as equal as you can possibly get it. Let's try again. I feel like it's kind of maybe closer. Maybe it's not closer. That's like one thing you guys gotta decide yourselves. Not gonna be perfect. But I know how many I was using on one side and the sizes, so yeah, it's closer this way than it was the way before. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do now. It wants Loctite on these bolts. So you're gonna pull them out one at a time, add a bit of Loctite, torque it back to 40 foot-pounds. I wrote it down on that board. Yep, 40 foot-pounds with a bit of red Loctite, number 271. If you've never used this stuff, it's awesome. Little drop, put it on, you're good. You don't need a ton. Let's do that. Now Loctite doesn't dry like super fast. If you're having trouble with a bolt or anything, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. And don't leave it there for 2 days or anything, but a couple of minutes isn't gonna hurt it.
Lots of paint.
I was just about to say, oh my paint. Such a satisfying flip. I love it. It's wonderful. Alright. Head slide in. Next thing is this. This is a giant cotter pin. I don't use this. I'm going to put it in right now just to hold these here. I replace this every time. Most kits actually come with a bolt. I get a stainless steel bolt that goes through, and I get a nut, and I get a washer. I like to be able to pull these off and on for any reason at all. Not saying I'm going to, not saying I need to, but if I want to, I don't want to have to find another one of these or try and bend it straight and try and put it back in, because you're not supposed to reuse these. Like I said, I'm going to put a bolt through it, a nice bolt through it, and just be done with it. So for now, that's in, that's on. All that's really left to do down here is finish up the line from here to here. NPT fittings flare, right? So they get bigger as you go in. So you don't want to just like tighten this all the way down, because at the end of the day, this is aluminum and you can crack it. I'm not trying to like scare you out of this. It's super good. All you need to do is rotate it as well as you can, like with your hand. So get it really good finger tight, and then do like another quarter turn, and you should be fine. Shouldn't have any leaks. If you do, do it in small increments. You don't want to crack this thing. And if you do crack it, call them and be like, I didn't even install this and it came cracked. Just protect it. So like, because you still want to clock it at the end of the day. You want it to be a nice smooth transition from the fitting to, from fitting to fitting really at the end of the day. So, get that guy finger tight. Get this guy finger tight. Alright, so we're in full lock position. That way, obviously, right? We're turned full right. So you can see you have a nice smooth transition. There's no binding or anything like that. If you get any bind, you're not necessarily going to destroy this at all. What it does though is sometimes it'll kink it and it'll kind of push the fluid back. So if you're not on the brakes and like you went full lock and like did a U-turn, suddenly your brake pedal would have sunk a bit. That's something to watch out for. You want perfectly good smooth transition. Alright, so I like to roll it over a bit. Now, that way as I tighten it comes back. See how I did that? That was awesome. Because otherwise you'll start rotating this a bit on the fitting and sometimes it'll just kink where you don't want it to. The nice thing about these, unlike like the Chevys with the spring under, you have to watch where this thing's clocked because you can clip it in the spring. You don't have to worry about that at all with the spring up here. So that's really it for the actual Wilwood like main hardware. We're gonna do the master cylinder and everything on another video because I'd like to talk about how to select a master cylinder, which one to use, why you'd want to go with like power versus not power. Yeah, I'll go over that in the next video. This thing installed super easy, as you saw. There's really no problems at all. This is an awesome kit. The kit is super easy to install. All of this is super good. I can't wait to get this thing out on the road. It's gonna be so awesome. Alright, so that's it for this episode of Budget Build Garage. If you liked it, drop a like, drop a comment. If you like the brake kit, let me know. If you don't like the brake kit, which one do you like? Why don't you like this one? Anything. Not saying like this is the best one or anything, because I mean, there's a million out there. This one's pretty cool because it fits under a 15-inch wheel, gets you 4 pistons, and I mean, it's a pretty awesome setup. Yeah, so let me know what you got on your car too, man. I'm curious. Really, that's it, man. We'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks.